Greetings, everyone. Welcome to THL Trivia Night. I'm just going to bring our players in as I welcome everyone to THL Trivia Night here. Welcome. I am Lotus Knight. I am one of our two hosts for tonight, and I am joined by Dankis Dad. Dankis Dad, how are you?
I am doing great and happy to be here, Lotus. Should be a fun night of trivia, and no one will suffer, I promise.
For sure. We have such a crazy range of questions. I'm so excited here. Yeah, without further ado, I just want to introduce our team captains so they can introduce their own players. Are you ready, Dankistad?
Yes, I am. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. So I'm going to start with one of my Heart Center co-hosts, Super Chicken. Chicken, why don't you introduce your team here?
Yeah, my team is Turtle and Damon, both excellent THL players in their own right, doing quite well in the THL Battleground series back in the day, but did not take home the title, sadly. But I think their expertise in some formats I haven't played will help bring a lot to the table.
For sure, for sure. Anything any of your players want to say right now?
Damon is the smartest man alive.
Thank you,
Okay.
Turtle.
All right. Dankazad, do you want to introduce one of the next teams, or just the captain so they introduce their team?
Sure. Next up, we'll bring Team Azalea out here. So let's hear from them. How are you guys doing tonight?
Uh, I am doing well. I'm super happy to be here. And my team is Gimme Lamp and Righteous Jammies.
All
Anything,
right.
Give me Lamp for Righteous Jammies want to say before we move on?
Yeah, it's just always nice to be here. Been a little bit, but it's always nice. Thanks for hosting.
Our pleasure. And I want to send out next to Team Wild Nine. Wild Nine, welcome to the show. How are you all doing tonight?
Doing good, doing good. Confident, not in myself, but in my teammates. Saku, who knows all things THL, and Memnarch, who knows all things wild.
Nice, nice. That sounds like a fun team. Anything your teammates want to say?
We're gonna win it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. And Dankazad, do you want to introduce the next one?
Sure. A Red Rover, send Team Neji Boston right over.
Yeah, we got my team, which is Agent PWE and Molestar.
And anything you gentlemen would like to share with the class before we move on?
Bat chest.
Well,
True.
there you go. You heard it here.
And our last team tonight, we have Team Diamond, the captain and specialist in making teams here. Who is your team tonight, Diamond?
Yeah, so for my team, I have Ridiculous Hat and Jordan MG, two very smart people, and I'm excited to play.
Hat Jordan, anything you want to say as we get ready for the beginning of trivia night?
I don't know
Check
that we're
out
gonna win, but it's gonna be a lot of fun.
check out Hearthstone Jeopardy at youtube.com/JordanMJ.
Nice. So let's get this started, shall we? Everyone ready?
Let's do
Yes.
it.
All right, so I'm going to open our first category here. And our first category for trivia is quite the fun one. I'm actually so happy with this name because it's great. Our category one is This Was a Mistake, represented here by everyone's favorite mistake. So here is our first question. And just a reminder for our players, feel free to talk in your team chats about this question. And at the end of this round, send your 5 answers to Dankisat to lock. So the first question
Wait,
is.
Lotus. Do we want to explain before how this category works?
Oh, sure. Let's talk about how this category works. Do you want to go over it, Dankisat?
Sure. So, if you played or watched Jeopardy last time, you may have seen the spiked wheel category, and this was a mistake is in the same spirit. So, to every one of these questions or statements, there's going to be 2 correct answers: mistake and another card. And we're going to need you guys to produce the other card that is not mistake.
Nice. So make sure you can bring the answer that isn't mistake here. Mistake does work for all of them. With that said, it's time for the first question. So the first question is, this mini set 1-3 helps you progress towards your Pirate Admiral Hooktusk reward. Some pirate action, maybe, maybe not. Dankisat, any ridiculous guesses that are obviously wrong that you want to share for this one while the teams think a bit?
Pirate Admirable Hook Tusk is probably not a good guess, but if you submit that, I'm not going to stop you.
That's true. It would not be a good guess, but you can submit whatever you want. We will be looking at, we'll be looking somehow at all the answers. So, with that in mind, are you ready to go for question number 2?
Sorry, was just getting some answers in, but yes, let's move on to the second.
Okay, and Dankisat, tell us, what is our second question?
This 1 mana 1/3 demon was playable in multiple classes. Well, at least 2.
Okay, 1 mana, 1/3 demon. Playable in multiple classes. Wonder what this is. This might be a mistake, but I don't know. There are definitely a few valid options. Or just one, really. But there's an answer. Let's I'll give a bit more time for everyone to think while we get set for the third question. So our third question here is probably the simplest one, honestly. The third question is, this 1/3 minion has no effect. It just does nothing. Okay, yeah, no, there are some more exciting cards. I don't know. It's been a while since we've seen something that does nothing, right? Well, do you remember when was the last time they printed something like that, Dankisat?
We've seen it from time to time, but it's been a minute. I think that it's been printed since at least 2014. So within the last 9 years, it's come out.
Yeah, what is your favorite card that does nothing from the art or whatever element you like? Dankisat?
Sorry about that. Well, I think looking at this like mistake, I'm a big kind of fan of sort of like the little Murloc eye and like the fins. It's just so messed up. I really thought that when they did the wisp poll or like the poll for which 0 mana 1/1 do you like best, that was going to be what this card was, because people were just going to say flipper, snow flipper penguin, wisp, Murloc Tinyfin, and they were just going to combine them all into some messed up thing to make people feel bad, but unfortunately, wasn't the case.
That's fair. Speaking of weird cards, though, maybe cute. What is our next question, Dankestad?
Sure. And just a reminder to all the teams to make sure you're DMing me your answers as we go. So, next question. This one mana demon is playable in multiple classes and was played in all of them, actually.
Yeah, and we're looking for a one mana demon that was played in all classes. I thought demons were a warlock only thing. Well, then there was Demon Hunter, and then there was that set where, well, there's so many demons there. It was an interesting time.
Yeah, there were quite a few. And yeah, I mean, some of them are harder to find in classes that aren't warlock than others. In particular, one mana neutral demons. They are just not something Blizzard likes.
That is true. What is your favorite demon, Dankasad? My favorite has to be Jiraxis. The original one's way too good.
I I love the voice lines. I'm a big Jiraxis fan, but hmm, of all the demons I liked and actually got to play with, I feel like it was probably just Imp Gang Boss when it was actually like first printed. I find it less interesting nowadays, but it was really fun to maximize how many back in the day.
For sure. And let's go to our final question here. As a reminder to all teams, at the end of the final question, you can send the 5 summarized questions to Dankastad, or if you've sent them partial, it's fine. So the last question is: this is a 1/3 with 7 letters in its name. That has to be a mistake, right? There's no way. What do you think Dankastad?
I'm guessing it's probably a minion, but I know like as Hearthstone players, reading is not one of our strong suits, so hopefully at least counting the letters is good enough and someone can pronounce the card.
So we'll give a few, basically 1 minute for people to send their answers, the final answers to Dankasad. So we go around collecting answers, saying what are the right ones, and checking the point totals afterwards. So Dankasad, from what you've seen so far, are you impressed?
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I see a couple teams with some really great scores, and actually almost every team has some really great scores. So I think this one's going to be a bit of a barn burner. We've got some trivia aficionados here in THL.
It's awesome. Let me know when everyone has sent in their answers, or if we need to ring the bell to ask them to. Because the mistake category is just almost over.
All right. Well, I still haven't received any answers on number 5, so I think we can give it about 30 more seconds and then move on and then start to move on.
Sure. Um, See who gets this one right. I will repeat the questions one final time in case anyone forgot any of them. So here we go. This mini set 1/3 helps you progress towards your Pirate Admiral Hooktusk reward. This 1 mana 1/3 demon was playable in multiple classes. Well, at least 2. This 1/3 minion has no effect. This 1 mana demon is playable in multiple classes and was played in all of them. This is a 1/3 with 7 letters in its name. It's shocking to me that Mistake actually has 5 possible questions that work this well. So, has everyone submitted their answers? What's our current status? Thank you, Seth.
Still waiting on Team Diamond. I would say they have about 10 more seconds, and then we got to go.
Okay, we'll do a
Sending,
10
sending
countdown.
just compiling the message.
Oh, no worries.
Sounds good. And also, shout out to our trivia answerers again. It seems like our QA may have been a bit sloppier this time, and we've got some answers from outside the realm that was considered possible by us question makers that are technically right. So there may be a pleasant surprise waiting for a few teams here.
Yeah. Hey, it can always happen. So I tried to think of answers, but I failed. If people were able to find more than we had predicted, that's awesome. So doing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I assume everyone's done now?
They're all locked in. Let's go through answers.
Okay, let's go through answers. So for our first question, this mini set 1-3 helps you progress towards your Pirate Admiral Hook Test reward. Team Chicken, what did you answer?
We had Risky Skipper for this one.
So I will say here, this was not the answer we were looking for, but this is a valid one, and I think I am going to be giving Team Chicken the point for this answer.
Oh, nice. Let's go.
Anyone get a different answer than Risky Skipper that wants to share?
Jolly Roger.
And that is perfect. As intended for this question, dead on. Do we have any different answers here, or are we all in agreement on Jolly Roger or Risky Skipper? Well, it looks like we are from my answers, so everyone's getting the point there. Let's move on to question. Let's move on to question 2, Lotus.
Sounds good. Question number 2. This 1-mana 1/3 demon was playable in multiple classes. Well, at least 2. Team Neji Boss, what did you say?
We got Spirit Jailer.
Spirit Jailer is the correct answer. Thing is that was there another answer?
I do not see any others. I think we actually have a 100% on this one, but are we sure it was Spirit Jailer, Lotus?
Well, sorry, it was Soul Jailer, in fact.
No, it is Spirit Jailer.
Spirit?
Unfortunately for some of our competitors here, we have just one who missed the mark. So for Spirit Jailer here, we've got most of our teams grabbing points, but it was Team Wild 9 that had the Soul Jailer. So unfortunately, they are falling a little behind.
But there's still so long to catch up. As we go to our next question, Denkisad, do you want to tell us what it is?
Absolutely. This 1/3 minion has no effect, and it is, as we all know, Dire Mole, and every team is getting full points there.
Nice. Is it in standard right now? I don't actually know.
I do not believe so currently.
Now, let's take a look at our next question because this one, to me, this one was actually a really cool and tricky one because I don't know, I thought it was hard when I read it the first time, but I thought so many of these were hard and everyone is crushing it. So, my question is this 1-mana demon is playable in multiple classes and was played in all of them. Team Wild 9, what did you say?
We went with Flame Imp because it's discoverable from Zephyr. I don't know if that's right.
That is unfortunately not the answer. Do
come
any other
on.
teams have a guess?
Patches the pirate.
That is correct with the change to add dual minion types in March of the Lich King. Patches was retroactively updated to be a demon. So, You've got it.
Wow. And we now go to our final one, which you said was a stumper here. So let me ask, this is a 1-3 with 7 letters in its name. Team Diamond, what did you get?
Zentimo.
Zentimo is correct. But once again, our QA was getting a little shady. There might have been a Pokemon tournament and a board game weekend for the question writers. I can't really speculate what else was going on there, but there was another team that produced a correct answer. Azalea Akari, what did you guys have for this?
We put hipster, which is from the new set coming up.
That it is, and it is a Hearthstone card. I studied math, and I think hipster's 7 letters long, so you guys are getting the point there.
Nice. That is awesome. I did not think of that card, but hey, set reviews do help.
You wouldn't have heard of it, Lotus. It's a thing.
It's true. So let's take a look at our tally. And I'm going to ask one team at a time. So, Team Chicken, how many points do you have right now?
We have 3 points.
And Team Azalea, how many points do you have right now?
We have 5 points.
All right, some teams still at full. Team Wild Nine, how many points do you have right now?
We've got 2 points.
Okay, and Team Neji Boston.
We have 4 points.
And finally, Team Diamond.
We got 5.
All right, so I'm finishing updating the graphic here as we speak. As we see Team Diamond and Team Azalea on the lead with 5, Team Neji Boston right behind them with 4, Team Chicken at 3, and Team Wild 9 at 2. So everyone's starting hot. I didn't think we would have 2 teams full guessing this category. I don't know. Maybe I was expecting too little, or I thought this was way harder than it was. How do y'all feel so far? Any thoughts? I'll just open it for everyone.
I'm ready for the next batch.
Pretty cringe to put a wild card in the answers. Who cares that Patch is a demon? Like, actually, no one.
Real.
I just want to point out that the question said this is a 1-3 with 7 letters in its name, and anything with more than 7 letters also has 7 letters in its name. So technically,
Real and true.
I don't know what to tell you.
Cope it up, guys. Cope it up. I don't know what to tell you.
Our answer is true.
Well, as a logician, I can agree with you, but you can mail all of your queries directly to Geranium Battle if you have any issue with that.
I'll be mailing.
Me too.
But in the meantime, with our next category, you guys are going to be counting cards. You ready for that? So, no real trick with this one. Just the questions tend to involve quantities of cards of a certain type. So, yeah, we will see how you guys do, and if everyone here can continue counting. So, with that, Lotus, I'm going to kick off our first question here. How many mechs in standard have 1 health?
So mechs in standard with 1 health is the one that has death rattle that gives you a spare part in standard.
I mean, it was in standard. I do like to get some of that coolant and throw some freezes out there, but I feel like I haven't seen anybody play it in a while, so maybe not.
Do people?
We're not counting like new cards, right?
Not new cards for this one. If it specifies in standard, new cards are excluded.
Yeah, you can assume for all questions, actually, you don't need to know anything about Festival of Legends to ace this whole thing. So if you don't know any of the new cards, you can still get all questions right. And for these, whenever we refer to standard, we mean standard right now, so not including Festival of Legends. That said, if there is a Festival of Legends answer you can think of as happened before, great. Just not something that is necessary.
And for this question specifically, though, Festivals of Legends is excluded. Anything that says standard, it does not count.
Are you including like I don't know if there are any, but like tokens or anything?
Tokens are excluded.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
here we're just thinking of the actual cards. Don't worry about tokens. These are cards you can add in your deck. So, for example, it would be a card like the Purator. That would be a valid card, and a Legendary Invitation would not be a valid card here.
We'll give our teams another few seconds on this, Lotus, and then we can move on to our next question.
All right, so I'll take everyone to the next question here. Now, let's keep speaking of mechs because mechs are cool. How many classes do not have a mech card, class card, in standard? So they only have access to neutral mechs, really. How much do we know about mechs? It's good that Boomsday was out because if Boomsday was in, this would be every one of them.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of mechs in Boomsday, and just like Nagas in Voyage and Undead in March of the Lich King, we'd have a lot of those minion types running around, and it might be good for our competitors to start thinking about how many right now. But I'm not going to leak too much here from our questions, but I think we can. We'll probably need to take a bit longer on this one. I don't have any submissions for it yet, but once we get a few, I will take that as the green light to move on to question 3.
Yeah, that is right. As Uranium said, you can count classes that have not been added to the game. No, please don't count Monk or something. Let's not speculate here. But especially because this is counting. So out of the 11 classes, which and so with that, I think we're ready to go to question 3. Reminder, they can send all their answers compiled at the end if they'd like. So thank you, Sab. Do you want to go for question number 3?
Sure. So we know that Death Knight is a new class, so we're gonna exclude him from this question. Which class, other than Death Knight, has the least zero-cost spells in Wild? How many?
Just as a separate point, the how many is a bonus. So if you get both of them right, you get 2 points, not 1. You're able to get a bonus point here. So many cool 0 mana cards, or spells. It does. Trying to think of some interesting ones. There's the Death Knight, Horn of Winter. I think that card is so cool. I thought that was a shaman card with overload, right?
Yeah, Overload 2 if you're a shaman, free if you're a Death Knight, huh? Just that's how it is these days.
Yeah, it's just shaman used to have in standard they used to have good stuff. They don't right now. I hear they're okay in wild. So how are we doing on answers? Thank you, said. Are people all done with question number 3?
They are trickling in. We've got one team that has buzzed in confidently for number 3, and the answers are still actually trickling in for 2. So I think we can spare our players another few seconds before jumping on to the next one.
Yeah. Um, I like some of these questions so much. Honestly, a lot of these were questions I've asked myself before and just never knew the answer to. So now we get to finally find out these answers, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the next one I think is a question we all ask ourselves once in a while, Lotus. And what is that?
So a question that we all ask ourselves is, thinking of minion types here, which one is the most common in standard? We have so many minion types like undead. Is undead the most common one in standard? I don't know. Is it elemental? I don't actually know. So it would be really cool if someone would tell me which one it is.
I will give a hint that it's really not close, and you guys should all get this one. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, this one, I don't know. I think I would get it right. Not, it could just be me. I don't think I would, right? But who knows? Um, yeah. How are our answers right now?
Still trickling in on 4. Most are done with 3, but I think in probably another second or so, I'll ask the next question. But in the meantime, Lotus, my question for you is which minion type in standard is your favorite? Which ones do you like to play with most?
Okay. I really like playing menagerie decks, but I have to go with dragons. The idea of playing a dragon deck is just so cool. There's nothing cooler than just playing these enormous dragons that just do interesting stuff and destroy the board and look so much fun. Don't you think so? It's just the fantasy is right on point.
I also love dragons, but if I mean, I'm just ashamed that Silverhand Recruit does not have a minion type because those are my favorites. I love just making some dudes.
It's true. That is a fun
Yeah,
one.
yeah, and I also like making trivia questions, and we've got one more in this category for all of you.
Let's go
It
for
should
it.
be Yeah, and it should be no surprise that Demon Hunter has more weapons than any other class in standard. How many do they have? So, how many Demon Hunter weapons are there in standard? And
Mm,
this excludes tokens, just cards you can put in your deck.
Yeah. This one it's interesting. I thought warrior would have more. Just always felt like warrior was a weapon class.
Oh, well, Druid's the armor class, Demon Hunter is the weapon class, and I guess Warrior might do something, but who knows? Maybe we'll find out later in the year what Warrior's going to be doing.
It's true. Yeah, warrior just went. Um, yeah, let's not talk about the state of warrior.
It's you're not going to hear about it on Twitter very much. Well, you will, but we'll spare you that here. So I think for now, I'm still waiting on either the answers to question 5 or the aggregate from some teams, and I think in I'll say about 30 seconds we will be ready to get moving and go through some answers.
Awesome. I will do my final read of all questions just so no one forgets what they are. So the first question is, how many mechs in standard have 1 health? And yeah, if you can name them, that would be great. but you're not required to. Speaking of mechs, how many classes do not have a mech class card in standard? Then the next question is, which class other than Death Knight has the least zero cost spells in Wild? And how many do they have for a bonus point? Circling back to minion types, which one is the most common minion type in standard? And finally, it should be no surprise that Demon Hunter has more weapons than any other class in standard. But how many weapons do they actually have? So, thank is that. How are our responses?
We are about done. I'm waiting for one more response, and I think that's it. So let's get going here with these answers. And if you want to start reading, Lotus, I will DM the teams each of their point totals for this category.
Sounds good. So we're going to start with the first question, and I'm going to ask Team Diamond here. How many mechs in standard have 1 health?
2.
2. Can you name them?
Click Clocker and Explosive Sheep.
That is correct. That's the Click Clocker and the Explosive Sheep. Was this a hard question? How did your team do?
We got Click Clocker kind of easy, and then we kind of thought about Explosive Sheep, but then we got it. And then after we're like, is there anything else? And then we thought no.
Thank you, Stan. Was there a third mech people forgot of? Thank you, Stan.
He's thinking about the third mech.
There we go. Sorry about that. Was just typing, but nope, there is no third mech. I just was checking exhaustively through my paper copy of the Hearthstone card glossary, and there was nothing there. So, Lotus, if you want to start going through the answer to question 2, I will wrap up with the scoring, and we can keep going.
For sure. Let's go to question number 2. Speaking of mechs, how many classes do not have a mech class card in standard? Team Azalea, what was your answer?
We said 4 classes. Druid. Our reasoning was Druid, Priest, Warlock, Demon Hunter. Yeah, that's what we put. I don't think it's right, but
Fair.
we got
4 mechs.
I think I missed one.
So, anyone had a different answer they want to share?
We went with 6, but I don't know if that's right either. Priest, Warlock, Demon Hunter, Death Knight, Druid, Shaman?
We had a different one as well.
Unfortunately, Death Knight might have a mech.
It does.
Who here likes their meat grinded? Anybody? We got any meat grinder fans?
Turtle definitely likes his meat grinded.
I'm a fan of grinding
because
up meat.
Turtle was the one who let me know that Death Knight does in fact have a mech and that it is meat grinder.
Good heavens.
Congratulations to Turtle. Well done. I guess like the meat. Anyway, there we go. So with that, we can move on to the next question. And Team Super Chicken will keep you on the spot. Sorry, Lotus, go ahead.
Quickly, just reviewing the answer. How many are the classes and what are they? Thank you, Stat.
We have Demon Hunter, Druid, Priest, Shaman, and Warlock that do not have a mech. But moving on, which class, other than Death Knight, has the least zero cost spells in Wild? How many? And this was very on brand for Team Super Chicken.
Yeah, foolish of you to give us a paladin question.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is paladin with forbidden healing.
And that is right. Funnily enough, Death Knight actually would have been tied with Paladin had it been included. Both classes only have one, with Death Knight having Horn of Winter. So, yeah, with that, Lotus, let's get to question number 4.
I just want to remind everyone that first day of school actually used to cost 0, and that was completely broken. And so they decided that Paladin couldn't get 0 mana spells. It was just too good. But let's take a look at the next question. So, circling back to minion types, which one is the most common minion type in Standard? Let's get Saku from Team Wild9 to tell us the answer.
I guess just double checking. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
All right, just had to. We went with undead as the most common.
Undead as the most common. Any other teams had different answers?
We went with Beast. Not actually sure that that's right, but I know Lifetime, like all expansions ever, Beast is right, so I just figured followed the trend.
Well, that was a good plan, and Beast is far and away the most numerous minion type in Standard. So it is the Beast, and Undead was the other was actually a more popular answer than Beast, and I think a lot of us just had them on the mind with March of the Lich King coming out so recently. And final question of the category, question number 5. Should be no surprise that Demon Hunter has more weapons than any other class in Standard. How many do they have? Would anyone like to share their answer for this?
We put 9.
And 9 is correct. Demon Hunter's got a lot, so can you name all 9, or are you just confident in the number?
Well, conveniently, I was doing a card review earlier, and there's the new 4-mana 3/6 that replaces your weapon with another one, and I was looking through all the Demon Hunter weapons like 3 hours ago, so I could name them all.
Well, I guess saying you can is just about as good as actually doing it. But
Okay. There's a 1/2 with Outcast, there's a 1/3, there's a 1/2 Death Rattle, there's a Warblades, there's a Magnifying Glaive, Scythe, Flame Reaper, Bone Glaive, and Lion's Frenzy. There you go. Done.
wow, Blizzard is getting really lazy with the card names these days. But with that, I think we can move into category number 3. Lotus, why
just
don't you
one
introduce
thing
this one?
before that, let's update the point totals. So, we're going to start with Team Neji Boston. How many points are you at now?
We're up to 10.
We had a perfect round for Team Neji Boston, getting to 10 points. Team Diamond, where are you at?
11.
Even perfecter, getting the bonus and all the questions.
It's true. Team Azalea.
We're at 8 points.
And Team Wild9.
We're at 3. We're gonna need some double point action coming up soon, yeah?
Oh, there's still room. Don't worry about it. And Team Chicken.
We are at 7 points.
Okay, the action is coming hot as Team Diamond and Team Neji are battling. Diamond still has to lose a point, but Team Azalea isn't far behind, with Team Chicken closely following. Now, with that, we can start thinking about our next round. And our next round, it's time for us to talk about THL, because we would not go out of this without having a THL round. Of course, we were going to do one. And so, as I prepare the stream here, because I do need a little bit of time to do that, I just want to ask all teams. And, well, actually, let me ask one player here. Hat, are you excited to answer THL questions?
Of course I am. I love celebrating THL's rich history as much as I love celebrating the contributions from People like yourself and Dad, the whole content team, and all the players that made it out here to make THL as great as it is.
That's awesome. I want to thank you for coming as always. So,
Also, we got 11 points. Get dunked on, Noob.
all right. So let me move into our next session, which is called THL and JFan. Thank you, Dad. Tell us what this is all about.
Well, it's just all about THL. So these questions are going to be testing your knowledge outside the client. And instead of asking questions about Hearthstone, we're going to be asking questions that are more specific to THL itself. So hopefully, you guys know a good amount about the league, and maybe having a board member on your member on your team was a good idea for this category. So we'll start with question one. While there are 12 players who have permanent reigning champion roles, these are the two that have it from two discontinued series. Who are those players?
So it is 1 point per player. So this question is worth 2 points. Now, this is really interesting. I'll be honest, I didn't even know that this was actually a possible role. But once you said it, I realized, yeah, no, this is actually possible. Makes sense. Um, yeah, it's a curious effect. Give a bit more time for people to think. But a reminder, you don't need to send all answers at once. You can just send them when you have them. So take your time, think about everything you're hearing, and write down your answers once you know it. Okay. Are we ready to go to question number 2? I'll assume this is a yes, and we'll give time for you to think afterwards if you weren't able to figure out who are the players. So, question 2, this is the only THL Hall of Famer from the inaugural inductees to the Hall of Fame that made it onto the board. This is the only THL Hall of Famer from the inaugural inductees that made it onto the board. It's quite the question. Any thoughts you want to share, Denki's dad, without spoiling the question at all?
Well, I mean, I can say that you just gotta think back to the old days before I was here. So if I was on any of the teams, I would have been no help with this question whatsoever. So best of luck to everyone who's trying to get it.
For sure. Now, before we go to the next question, would you have gotten the next question right?
Probably by dumb luck, I might have come pretty close. But, I feel like at least some of our teams will get it, but you never know.
For sure. So let's go to the next question. Denki's dad, what is it?
Question number 3. The two players that have tied at the most crossover wins are Neji Boston and obviously. Which two players are tied for the most runner ups? So we're looking for the two players with the most who are tied for most crossover runner ups.
And since these are two players, this is 1 point for each. So again, you might get an extra point just for knowing a lot about runner-ups. How are we doing on answers? Do we need a bit more time? How are things looking, Dankestad?
I think we can give a little bit more time on this one, but soon after, we're going to want to move on. I think this category might be a little bit tough, and maybe we'll see if people know their history. But well, I think I have stalled enough now, Lotus. You want to take question number 4?
For sure. So, question number 4 is a simple one. This THL Legacy team has the most championship rings. What is it? Just which team in Legacy has won the most? Quite a direct question.
So, Lotus, let me ask you: if you hadn't seen the spreadsheet, would you know the answer?
For this one, I don't actually think I did. I would no. I would have gotten it wrong. Oh no, this is a very cool question. It's trickier than it seems. But I mean, I know of this team. I can say that much. That is no spoiler. But that's about it.
That's fair. All right, and moving on, I will give us our last question here, give our team some time to compile, and then tally scores. So, question 5. That's wild. This is the wild deck with the highest win rate over its more than 30 brings last season. So, a little bit of a mouthful there, but we're looking for, of the decks that had 30 or more brings in Wild, which one had the highest win rate in the THL Wild format for this season?
And just a reminder, this is the archetype, obviously. It's not the exact deck code. It's just which archetype.
If you give me the deck code and it pastes, though, and it's the deck, I will give you points. If you manually type that whole thing in, that's a power move. I'll allow it.
Fair. We did ask people not to go in the client, so if you can do it without using Google or going in the client, that would be amazing.
Yeah, like I said, that's why I would take the points. I mean, if someone has that sort of skill, I really, really can't ignore it.
Yeah, just do the hash function in your head. Just as a note, you can get up to 7 points here. This could be quite the game changer for some teams if they get everything right. How are we on answers so far, Dankestad? Dankestad? Okay, we don't seem to have audio Dankestad, so while we wait for answers, I'm just gonna go and talk about some of the wild decks I like, which are probably really bad. I know I used to like Q Block a lot. I don't think there's Q Block anymore in Wild. No, maybe someone can prove me wrong. Maybe there's a deck that I just don't know of. With that, Dankestad, are you back? Yeah, no, I can't hear. I don't
He's
know.
forever counting.
It seems
Oh
to
my
be.
god. Okay, here we go. I think it's fixed now. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, you
Notice?
are back. You're back now.
All right. Fantastic. So, we have all of our answers in for our team, so I will be tabulating some answers now, and why don't you take us through the first couple of questions while I send teams their scores?
For sure. So while there are 12 players who have permanent reigning champion roles, these are the two that have it from two discontinued series. So I want to ask, let's see. I want to ask Memnarch, do you actually know the answer?
Oh, what?
Do you have any idea who are the players that have two reigning champion roles permanent from discontinued series?
I think we went with Sage. And I don't know who else got Wild 9 submitted.
Okay.
Oh, Sage and Marty B.
Yeah.
Sage and Marty B. Interesting choice. Let's ask Team Neji Boston. Who did you go with?
We picked Rebob and Copa.
All right. What were the correct answers? They were Rebob and Copa, actually. Those are 2 points for Team Neji Boston. Anyone else got the same answers?
Yep.
Wow, just everyone's keeping it hot as we go to the second question. I thought this was a very hard one. Let's go for what I think is actually one of the easiest questions here. So the question is, this is the only THL Hall of Famer from the inaugural inductees that made it onto the board. And Team Azalea, who is it?
Oh, I think my team forgot to submit, but I think our answer was going to be Mark Shire.
Oh, he's clutch. He's clutch. We're giving him that point.
Yeah.
It is correct. It is Markshire. Yes.
Thanks.
What is the next next question, Dankistan?
Sorry, still tabulating points. My apologies, Lotus. But the 2 players that have tied at the most crossover wins are Neji Boston and obviously, which 2 players are tied for the most runner-ups? How about Team Diamond? Do you guys have an answer for this one?
Yeah, we went with R Hat and Based Inc.
Ridiculous Hat is correct, and unsurprising that you guys picked that up, but the second player is not Based Inc. Did any teams have any other guesses on that second player?
Ron Mexico.
Forever second.
And Team Azalea and Saku are on the money. It is, in fact, Ron Mexico. So Ron Mexico and Ridiculous Hat were the 2 we were looking for question number 3. And back to you, Lotus, for 4. What do you know about Legacy?
The Legacy team that has the most championship rings. This is, I don't actually know who here was in them. I want to ask Hat, do you know? I'm sure you know this one, but do you know who was in it the whole time?
Well, Sage.
Yeah, that's true. It is Sage with HSA. I'm sure you were going to know this one. HSA actually has the most championship rings, winning 4 times. Any chance you can name the seasons?
No, absolutely not. I have that in a spreadsheet.
There's a spreadsheet.
Oh, I think I know it. 5, 6, 10, and 15.
That is correct.
For HSA titles.
That is correct.
I believe you. I didn't even look it up, but that level of confidence, I just trust anyone who can give an answer that fast.
I looked it up today, so I knew the answer, but I am shocked that someone else knows these exact years. Yeah, they have the 4 championship rings. It's true. Our final question was about Wild. So let's see. I want to ask Team Chicken, as a team full of Wild specialists, what Wild deck had the highest win rate?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the question that was on screen was meant to give us a little hint but I took it as a hint and guessed Pain Warlock.
Unfortunately, it is not Pain Warlock. One of our question writers, who may or may not be on this call, decided to put that in as a little troll to see who the real wild players are. And unfortunately, I feel like you guys might have fallen for the trap. And in fact, we had no correct answers from any of the teams. All of you should be unsurprised that the deck that was strongest in wild in large sample was actually Miracle Rogue.
Oh
So
my gosh, I'm so upset.
you just can't escape it. No matter where you go, Sinstone Graveyard is going to be winning you Hearthstone games. It's the best thing you can be doing right now, and those same 30 memes are pretty accurate. So
Wow.
with that, Lotus, why don't you take us through our team's point totals, and we can see where we stand going into the final question round.
For sure. Team Azalea, tell us, how many points are you at?
We are at 13 points now.
13 points. And Team Wild9, how many points are you at?
We doubled our points to be at 6.
Okay, we have a team at 6. And Team Chicken, where are you at?
We are at 10 points.
Team Chicken at 10 points. And Team Neji, where are you?
15 points.
And finally, number 1 team before, Team Diamond, where are you?
One more than Neji's team, 16.
Okay, keeping the gap at exact 1 point just to make it as tense as it can. As we go into the next category, we have Team Diamond in first place, followed closely by Team Neji Boston. Team Azalea 2 points behind Team Neji, but Team Chicken is falling a bit behind now at 10, while Team Wild9 is at 6 points in the back. Still 2 more categories, and the last one is worth so much, so we're going to see where everyone gets as we go into what everyone likes to do.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about engineering now, because it's what really we're here for, and we're gonna go into our mechanical engineer category. So let's start by asking Dankizad to tell us about this category.
So, for the most part, this category just has to deal with Hearthstone mechanics. And, I do love mechanical engineering. In fact, I love it so much I married a mechanical engineer. So that's pretty cool. But with this one, it's pretty simple. No gimmick. You're just going to have to know the answer to these questions about Hearthstone mechanics. So, question number 1. In Festivals of Legends, legendary spells are making their return. Which 2 classes have the most legendary spells?
Again, this is 1 point per class you get right. Which 2 classes have the most legendary spells?
All time?
All time, yes.
All
This is a
time.
wild question. If we don't specify that it's standard, you can assume it's wild. It's a mechanical question. Legendary spells are kind of a mechanic, right?
Right, some answers are starting to trickle in, Lotus. Why don't you take us through question 2?
For sure. So, second question is in Festival of Legends, every class received a weapon as one of their class cards. Which weapon is every class losing access to with rotation? So there's a weapon that every class can't have anymore. What is it? And I'm sure this is a very interesting one. It's going to start spinning some cogs here. And see what everyone thinks about it soon. Think is that how are the answers trickling in?
We've got some answers coming in for question one, it looks like. And, I think the teams have a handle on it. Two is still coming in, but, while we wait, Lotus, I got to ask, what weapon are you going to miss when rotation happens? Because for me, it's got to be the immovable object. It's going to be sad when that's gone.
Yeah, that's actually a good one. I was gonna say something that people were gonna hate me for it, but I will say it anyways. It is a one mana 1/3 Demon Hunter weapon. I just like multi-striking their face twice.
Dread Prison Glaive was pretty cool. It's fun how that card went from unplayable to incredible, with multi strike just becoming a thing.
Yeah, and just imagine how good it would be with the Demon Hunter legendary spell. You can now send 8 different times your weapon to the face.
Yeah, that would be pretty sick.
It would just be,
Man.
I mean, it's almost impossible, but maybe against Druid, one time you put it on Trollden and it's like the better version of Gonk Druid, but your Demon Hunter.
Yeah. If only there were a card to like fill your opponent's board with 3/3s or something, but uh, alas.
True. So let's take a look at the next question, shall we?
Sure, let's do it. Locations are also making a return outside of their debut in Castle Nathria. Currently, what is the only card in the game that has a conditional effect if you control a location? No, we love conditional cards around here, Lotus. Any particular favorites of yours?
Just general conditional cards. Let me think. There's some. I mean, Mechathune has to be one of them because it's just so cool. It just makes so much fun and actually quite an interesting card to play. What else do I like a lot? Honestly, I really like Rustrock Viper. Just having the tradable aspect and being able to deal with weapons is always a nice mechanic to have.
God, Viper is so good. It actually kind of made me a little sad when they said that it was coming back, just because it is so strong and so ubiquitous as a tech card. As a tech card lover, it really feels more fun to me when my tech cards are bad, but maybe that's just me. I can say though my favorite conditional card was Sacrificial Pact when you used to be able to kill Jiraxis with it. Do you remember
Yeah.
that back in Mean Streets when that was just
Yep.
everywhere?
I've pulled that before. It's hilarious. Just looking at your opponent, it's like, yep, you drag it to the face and they die because the card has a very weird interaction that really makes no sense. There's no reason why you would punish Jiraxis like that. That said, speaking of Warlock and Jiraxis, let's look at our next question that talks about discard. Discard is not really a keyword, yet Warlock is not the only class to use the mechanic. Name as many as you can of the other classes that have class cards that discard. So you will get a point for each class you can name. And this is, again, this is wild. So how many classes have class cards that discard? It's really interesting because you would think this card is really a Warlock thing, right? Any thoughts you want to share about this one, Dankasat?
Well, yeah, going through these questions, I was actually really surprised to find out that discard wasn't a keyword. I think that like there are like it's such a popular mechanic that keeps coming back, and there are a lot of other cards that don't have anything like that, or that have much more niche effects but do have a keyword. And if that gets you thinking, it actually segues really nicely into our next question. And I think where our teams are at. Do you mind if I take that away?
Go for it.
So, on the subject of niche keywords, everyone knows that Mega Wind Fury is the rarest keyword. What is the second least common keyword? And as a hint, it appears on 3 cards currently in Standard.
Do you know how many times Mega Wind Fury appears in Standard right now? Is there any?
In Standard, it does not, but it appeared in Wild once on a real card, once on a token, and that real card showed up in Battlegrounds that one time. So
Oh, it's true. Was it? I don't even remember if it was good in Battlegrounds. I never understood that one. It just appeared there out of nowhere, right?
yeah, I mean they kind of took it out because it really didn't do anything. But yeah, it was definitely a strange time to have that, especially in like a high tavern tier.
For sure. Um. So we'll give people some time for their answers to trickle in. How are our numbers right now?
Things are looking pretty good. I think most of the teams actually have all their answers in. I think we'll give another few moments or so, but I think honestly we can start to get going after that. Once again, Lotus, if you can handle the first 2 or 3 questions, I will be working on score tabulation, and after that, I can take the last 2, I think.
Sounds good. Do you have all their
Could
answers, or
we
do we need a bit
could
more?
we just read through the questions, like just bullet through them quickly so I can just compile?
Of
Sure.
course,
You
I
With
can
like
go
a
through
million
it.
messages to go through.
No, that's totally fine. So the questions are: legendary spells are also making their return. Which 2 classes have the most? In Festival of Legends, every class received a weapon as one of its class cards. Which weapon is every class losing access to with rotation? Locations are also making a return outside of their debut in Castle Nathria. Currently, what is the only card in the game that has a conditional effect if you control location? This card is not a keyword. It is not. It's a surprising fact. Yet Warlock is not the only class to use a mechanic. Name as many as you can of the other classes that have class cards that discard. Finally, everyone knows that Mega Wind Fury is the rarest keyword. What is the second least common, appearing on 3 cards in Standard right now? All right, so can we go back to the first question? Everyone ready? See the answers?
Give me just a moment, Lotus, but if I can have just 1 second to resolve a couple things behind the scenes, we can get started. But yeah, if you could take one, just give me 1 moment for question 2, but go right ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so going to question 1, and I want to ask Team Azalea here, which 2 classes have the most legendary spells? And I'm going to ask Righteous Jammies.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So you said which classes have the most legendary spells?
Exactly.
All right. I believe it should be Mage and Warlock.
Mage and Warlock is the right answer. Yes, it is Mage and Warlock. Did anyone have a different answer? All right, this was an easy start. Everyone got this one. Are we ready to go to question 2, Dankest Dad?
He's still tabulating, so you might as well.
Okay, so
We had a tough question that got nixed. Sorry, I'll pop in quick. And we actually had to widen the gap on answers for this one pretty considerably. So if teams want to share their answers, there's probably a pretty lenient range of things you can say. So Lotus, take us through and see what our teams had to say.
Okay, so let's look team by team and hear their logic on this. Which weapon is every class losing access to with rotation? And we'll start with Team Neji Boston.
I will let Agent PWE do this one because he came up with it.
Okay.
I think we answered Wicked Dagger, like the rogue weapon, because you can play Finley as any class and get the rogue hero power, and it's rotating, I think. So you
That's actually
can't do
true.
that.
Genius.
Maybe.
We'll allow it.
Yeah, it wasn't the
Easy.
one I was thinking of, and I'm sure you're all going to laugh a lot when you figure out the one that we were thinking of, but I'm going to go to Team Diamond. Which one did you say?
Well, I think we're wrong. We're just realizing it now. We said a sphere. That's not even in standard.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sphere of Sapience is one of the few answers we cannot accept for that question.
No, Spear is not correct. Team Chicken, what did you say?
Well, we said a weapon that you get from a certain little guy, specifically 7 little guys, and it's the Sword of 1,000 Truths.
That is correct.
We have a winner there. That was the intended answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Team Azalea, what did you get?
So Lamp asked me if I would let him be the one to talk about what we came up with. So Lamp can take it.
Sure. Please.
All right, so there are 4 weapons from Kazakhstan that you can get. There is Quel'Dalar, Blade of Quel'Dalar, Hyper Blaster, and the Exorciser.
That is true. I'll be honest, I did not think of Kazakhstan for a second, but that is correct.
It is, and your team also had the sword later, so
Yeah, I answered sword after
mean,
because that was another thing that was brought up.
But Kazakhstan ones would have been totally valid, and yeah, you guys have the question.
Yeah, and Team Wild9, any answers you want to add here?
We did not have an answer for this one. The only thing we could think of was sphere, but we knew it wasn't standard, so.
All right. Yeah, no, I did not realize. I was trying to think if there was some other trick that I didn't foresee. Like maybe you could get the warrior legendary somehow in any deck, but I couldn't see a way for it. But yeah, that is actually way more than I expected. I completely forgot Kazakhstan. I don't know if in the middle you figured something out, Dank, is that I didn't. Any other tricks?
Think that our players actually creatively exhausted all of the other ones I could scan for while we were going through the answers. So, great job with the creativity, guys. You knocked that one out of the park. Fantastic answers.
Yeah. And let's move to question number 3. What is the only card that has a conditional effect if you control a location? And I'm going to ask Team Chicken here.
We didn't really have a great answer for this one. We know it's like the 4 mana 4/5 like discover guy, but we couldn't remember what its name was.
You are on the right track. That is the card, but do any of our other teams want to chime in with its name?
Arhat, you should say it. You know it.
Dispossessed soul.
He's got it, and I'm surprised Team Super Chicken was not there with this answer, since some of us might have tried that in Control Paladin in the early days of Murder at Castle Nathria, but maybe it's coming back this year now that we have some extra locations to support it.
I surely had too much self-respect to try this card.
Also, is there a Paladin location? I don't even know if there is one.
A Great Hall Lotus Knight. Come on. Everyone knows that card. It's in all the Paladin decks.
So moving
It's
on
kind
to
of
the
mid
next
hall.
3-3.
I see you there, Hat. Nice one.
So let's talk about discard though. How many classes did people name that basically discard as a mechanic and have cards with discard? So we're gonna start with Team Wild9 here. Any cards with discard you want to name? Or classes that have discard?
I think we're supposed to name cards, right?
You're supposed
No,
to
you
name
didn't have to, but you guys are heroes for doing it.
Okay,
So
I
why
thought
don't
we
you
were
take us
supposed to name
through?
cards. But Mage, Druid, DH, all definitely do, and Warrior. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the ones. You've got it. And if you want to tell us the cards, go for it, because I think all
I don't
your
know
answers
all
were
of them
right.
though. But the ones that come to mind, like I know there's the DH Legendary Crixix, right? Or something. I don't know the name, but it discards your hand. And then the Warrior one is the one that discards a spell from your opponent's hand, right? Mage, we were talking about Evocation as one of the ones. And then Druid has like a bunch of like fungal fortunes and like astral communion, things like that.
Yeah, and you pretty much nailed it there. Like that's perfect. So excellent job, and great job with all our teams for that one. And notice I'll take this final question. Everyone knows that Mega Wind Fury is the rarest keyword. What is the second least common, appearing on 3 cards in Standard? How about Team Neji Boston? What did you guys get for this?
I am not confident in this, but we said charge because Blizzard said they were trying to take it out of standard. So surely it's the keyword that has the least amount of cards.
Oh, so close, but it is not charge.
Unlucky.
All right. What about Team Diamond? You guys find an answer for that?
Yeah, originally we said we were gonna think poisonous, then we realized there's more than 3. But then we went with counter for Okani, counterspell, and objection.
And that's correct. And
Yeah.
funnily enough, with this question, the 3 cards in Standard, if you don't account for the difference between core and classic, are actually the only 3 cards with counter in all of Hearthstone. So, yeah, awesome job getting that one. And with that, our teams should all have their scores. So, Lotus, let's see what we've got going into the final question.
For sure. So let's start with Team Diamond. Where are you at?
We are at 24 total.
Okay, 24 total for Team Diamond. Team Neji Boston, where are you at?
One behind, 23.
Okay, wow, this is way tighter than I thought it would be. And Team Azalea, where are you?
One behind them, we are at 22 points.
Okay, and Team Chicken, where are you?
Yeah, this is Damon for Team Chicken. I've been told we're at 76 points, so we're just right in there.
Oh, Damon, wow.
Or 18, which is a multiple or a factor of 76. Oh no, 72. But damn it.
I'm
Anyway,
surprised you guys got any
He's a
points
little
in the
bit
counting
goofy.
round.
Guys, we're not very good at that.
we're right in it too. Surely, even at 18, maybe.
I think
Well,
almost
Lotus
everyone
knows
has
the rules, not me. So
Surely, there's like a quadruple points round that makes all the other rounds meaningless.
It's not like that, but there is going to be a lot of points for the final question. So, Team Wild9, how many points are you at?
We are at 13.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest, there's actually a scenario where every team can still win. for the rules for our final showdown. So, the difference of our final showdown, just to explain to everyone how it works. Well, let me just take a look at the standings for a second. We have Team Diamond, Team Neji Boston, and Team Azalea all at consecutive point totals, and it's really close. Followed by Team Chicken at 18 and Team Wild 9 at 13, but no one is out yet as we go into our final question. So, the rule for our final question is before you see the question, you can choose how many points you want to bet on it, and you'll double. If you get the question right, you double the number of points. So, for example, if Team Diamond chooses to bet 24 points and they get it right, they're going to 48. But if they get it wrong, they're at 0. So you can choose how many points you want to bet and DM Blankistad over the next minute how many points you want to bet. So take a minute to just say how many points you're planning to bet, and we go for a final question.
And once I have all those in, I will read the question.
Now, we will give you some information because we're not that evil. We're going to tell you the theme of the question so you can think of whether you know this theme or not. The theme of the question is open deck lists for the win. So, has everyone told them how much they're betting? On Dankistan.
All right, all of the bets are in. So,
Okay.
we have Team Diamond, Team Azalea, Team Neji Boston, and Team Chicken have all gone all in.
Okay.
And Team
Nice.
Wild 9 has bet 12 points.
All right. So now we reveal our
Wait,
question.
Matt, genius strategy.
So if everyone gets this wrong, Team Wild 9 is snaking in from behind to take the game. So we'll see. It seems like it was a good strategy.
For sure. Let's see if someone can get this right. Go for the question, Dankistan.
Well, I think Lotus might have fooled you all a little bit because even though the category is open deck list for the win, the question has nothing to do with open deck list.
Nope, it's the exact opposite.
In standard PR'd series this past season, this was the most common class matchup to be played, with 153 games under its belt. So, as a reminder to those of you here, their standard PR'd series are Hero and Legacy. So, in those series, what was the most common class matchup? Who knows it?
Yeah, and it's Class A versus Class B. If you swap the order, it is fine. You'll get the points anyways.
I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute, and after that, I'll be reading some answers.
So I'll help you all by giving you some great options because you don't need the help here. But I'm pretty sure that the most common matchup to be played this season has to be the matchup, the Grimy Goons matchup that y'all are waiting for. The Warrior versus Paladin matchup. I'm sure that's correct.
Real.
Yeah, it's just it was you couldn't go on ladder without seeing those two. Am I wrong?
Yeah, Brass Knuckles was just kind of an oppressive card this year, and I really, really wish they had done something about Don Honcho. Like, just being able to play like a minion with +5/+5 that would be, I don't know, like an 11/12 for 6 mana would just be unfair.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Just wait until you see all those matches where Warrior keeps tapping, and Paladin just I don't even know what Paladins did this season.
Time's up. All right. So, in lieu of DMs, we can just have each team say their answer out loud if they'd like. So, Team Diamond, what did you guys have?
Rogue versus Hunter.
Team Diamond, I'm sorry, but you are going home with 0 points.
Cool.
Not for an information advantage, but just because I'm really confident no one's going to get this question.
Wait, couldn't we change our answers based on what the first person said and say, "Oh, that's not the matchup"? Why are we doing this aloud?
Because I have pretty much all the answers, and well, I think it'll work out fine. I've got the receipts, Damon. Don't worry. If you want to do a count afterwards, it's all good with me. All right. How about Azalea Akari? What does your team have?
Oh gosh. Mage versus Demon Hunter.
And Team Azalea Akari is correct. They have gotten it right. They are getting 22 points. Congratulations to Team Azalea Akari.
Wow.
Team Super Chicken, what do you got?
We had Rogue versus Rogue.
Oof, and since we know the correct answer, we know it's unfortunately not Rogue versus Rogue. And anyone else? Do we have Mage versus Demon Hunter from Team Neji Boston or Team Wild 9? Or, sorry.
Unlucky. We said mage.
Oh, so close.
We said
'Cause
mage
mage
shaman.
was in every lineup, but nobody banned it.
Yeah, we thought shaman would be higher, but I guess it.
That was my exact
shaman
reason.
and DH.
That was my exact reasoning. Was Mage was like never banned, but it was good the entire expansion. And I was just debating Hunter and Demon Hunter because they were both like,
Yeah.
Rogue was banned. Rogue was banned too much. That was my thing for Rogue.
Yeah, so in a resounding rout, Team Azalea with 44 points takes the win. Team Wild 9 comes in second with 1. And Team Diamond, Team Neji Boston, and Team Chicken unfortunately are left with 0 points. So, being 44 times as effective as the next best team, Team Azalea Akari, congratulations. Is there anything that any of you would like to say about your big win on the show today?
Both of my two teammates carried me quite a lot in some of these rounds. So I thank them for all the help. It was a lot of fun. For sure. And
I mean-
especially with Lamp on the engineering stuff, that was clutch.
Yeah, Lamp carried, if I'm being honest. Like, as much as I think Azalea is trying to give me credit, Lamp carried.
I mean, Azalea got the final question right, and I didn't, so it's all that matters.
True.
Well, I mean, I guess getting it right really did win it for you guys, but I feel like a lot of the other teams could have had a shot at second place if they might have played things a little bit more carefully. But that's how it shakes. Everyone who's here is playing to win. So
Yeah.
That's it.
once again, congratulations. And
Who
Lotus,
cares about second?
take us away. Yeah, you're either first or you're last. Confucius said that, I think.
Oh,
All right.
Ricky Bobby said that. It's my boy Ricky Bobby.
So with that, I believe that is it for our show tonight. I want to give a super special thank you to everyone who was here tonight and who enjoyed the show. I hope you had fun. This was a fairly tough quiz, and y'all did so much better than I expected in trivia. So I want to congratulate every single one of the teams. Super special congratulations to Team Azalea for 44 points getting this question right. This is a very hard question for the finale. Something to think of for next time. But I hope y'all enjoyed Trivia Night. This is an alternative for Family Feud that we thought of. It could be an interesting format to try. So if you enjoyed this, let me know. If you want to see Family Feud next time, let me know as well. And we will see what happens. With that, I want to give a special thank you for all the players. Not going to name everyone because we have too many. And a super, super special thank you to Dankus Dad and Geranium Battle for helping me prepare the show, plan the questions, think ahead. Your help is invaluable. So with that, I want to wish everyone a good night. Say good night, everyone. And we'll see
Good
you
night,
later.
everyone.
Good night.
Uh,
Good night.
Good night,
Jeopardy's-
Turtle.
Good
Good
night.
night.